Captain Lee Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the human exploration vessel Stellar Dawn and watched something impossible happen. The star in front of them was dying. Not the slow death that stars usually faced after billions of years, but something fast and wrong. "Captain, I'm getting readings that don't make sense," said Lieutenant Park Min-ji from her station. She was the ship's science officer, and Do-hyun had never seen her look so confused. "The star's energy output is dropping by 12% every hour." Do-hyun moved closer to her screen. The numbers were clear but impossible to believe. Stars didn't just stop burning like someone had turned off a switch. They burned for millions or billions of years until they ran out of fuel. "How long until it goes completely dark?" he asked. "At this rate, maybe 6 hours," Park replied. Her voice was quiet, like she didn't want to believe her own words. The communication system suddenly came alive with urgent messages. Commander Kim Tae-hyun, who ran the ship's communications, looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, we're getting emergency signals from everywhere. The Altarian fleet, the Centauri colonies, even the deep space monitoring stations. They're all reporting the same thing. Stars going dark?" "Yes, sir." "And something else. The Altarian fleet commander wants to speak with you directly. He says it's about something they call the Hunger." Do-hyun had dealt with the Altarians before. They were an old race that had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. They were careful people who never panicked about anything. If they were scared, there was a good reason. Put him through. The main screen flickered and showed the face of Commander Vexthala, an Altarian with the typical insect-like features of his species. His compound eyes were darting back and forth in a way that Do-hyun recognized as extreme fear. "Human captain," Vexthala's voice came through the translator with a buzzing quality. "You must leave that system immediately. The Hunger has found it." "What is the Hunger?" "An ancient thing that feeds on stars. It has been sleeping for many cycles, but now it wakes. It moves from star to star, consuming their energy until nothing remains but cold rock." Do-hyun felt a chill run down his spine. "How do you fight something like that?" "You do not fight it. You run, you hide, you find dead systems where no star burns, and you wait until it passes. This is what we do. This is what everyone does." The connection ended abruptly. On the screen, Do-hyun could see the Altarian ships moving away from the dying star as fast as their engines could carry them. "Sir," called out Ensign Yoon Hye-jin from the navigation station, "I'm tracking massive fleet movements throughout the sector. Everyone is running away from active star systems and heading for the dark zones." Park Min-ji looked up from her instruments again. "Captain, I'm reading similar energy signatures from 17 other star systems in this region. They're all losing power at the same rate." 17 systems at once? Do-hyun couldn't hide his surprise. "And that's just what we can scan from here. The pattern suggests this thing, whatever it is, can affect multiple stars at the same time across vast distances." Dr. Choi Ji-won, the ship's chief scientist, had been quiet during the entire exchange. Now he spoke up from his station near the back of the bridge. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data from the failing stars. The energy isn't just disappearing. It's being drained in a very specific way, starting from the core and working outward." "What does that mean?" "It means something is feeding on the nuclear fusion process itself. Not just taking the light and heat, but actually stopping the fusion reactions that make stars burn." The bridge fell silent as everyone tried to understand what they were hearing. Something was eating stars from the inside out. "Sir?" Kim Tae-hyun said quietly. "I'm getting reports from the Galactic Council. They're calling an emergency session. Every major species is evacuating their star systems and moving their populations to artificial habitats in deep space." "How long has this been going on?" "The first report started coming in 3 days ago from the Outer Rim territories. But now it's spreading toward the galactic core. At this rate, every star in the galaxy could be affected within a few months." Do-hyun looked out at the dying star again. It was noticeably dimmer than when they had first arrived just 2 hours ago. Soon it would be nothing but a cold ball of rock floating in empty space. "What about Earth? What about our home systems?" Park checked her long-range sensors. "No signs of the effect in human space yet, but if the pattern holds, it will reach us eventually." Dr. Choi was still studying his data when he made a sound of surprise. "Captain, there's something odd here. The entity, this Hunger, it seems to be avoiding certain types of stars." "What kind?" "The young ones. The hot, unstable stars that burn bright and fast. It's only targeting older, more stable stars like red giants and medium-sized yellow stars like our sun." "Why would it avoid the hot ones?" "I'm not sure yet, but I have a theory. Maybe the chaotic energy patterns in young volatile stars make it harder for this thing to establish whatever connection it needs to feed. Commander Kim looked up from his station. Sir, I'm getting more emergency transmissions. The Zephyrian Empire is abandoning their entire home system. The Crystalline Collective is shutting down their stellar energy networks. Everyone is going dark. Going dark, Do-hyun repeated the words slowly. They're all choosing darkness over light. It's the only way to survive, Park said. If this thing feeds on stellar energy, then the logical response is to get as far away from stars as possible. Dr. Choi was quiet for a long moment, then looked up with a strange expression. Captain, what if everyone is wrong? What do you mean? What if running away isn't the answer? What if instead of avoiding stars, we should be getting closer to them? The bridge crew stared at him like he had lost his mind. Think about it, Choi continued. This hunger avoids hot, chaotic stars. What if instead of making our stars dimmer and safer, we made them brighter and more dangerous? That sounds like suicide, Kim said. Maybe, Choi replied. Or maybe it's the only way to fight back. Do-hyun looked out at the dying star one more time, then at his crew. Humanity had always been different from the other species in the galaxy. While others sought safety and stability, humans seemed drawn to risk and challenge. Set course for home, he ordered. We need to warn Earth about what's coming. Yes, sir, Yoon replied. Course laid in for the Sol system. As the stellar dawn turned away from the dying star and prepared to jump to hyperspace, Do-hyun couldn't stop thinking about Dr. Choi's words. Everyone else was running into the darkness to hide. But what if humanity chose to embrace the light instead? 3 weeks after the stellar dawn returned to Earth, the emergency session of the Human Colonial Council reached a decision that shocked the galaxy. While every other species built massive ships to carry their populations into the cold darkness between stars, humanity chose the opposite path. Chief Engineer Yoon Hyejin stood in the main assembly hall on Luna Station, presenting her team's research to the council members. Behind her, a holographic display showed technical drawings that looked more like weapons than tools. The stellar amplification device works by injecting controlled amounts of heavy elements directly into a star's fusion core, she explained to the room full of military officers and scientists. Instead of making the star burn steadier, it makes the fusion process chaotic and unpredictable. Admiral Kang Seojin, the head of the Human Defense Fleet, leaned forward in his chair. And you believe this will protect the star from the hunger? More than protect it, Yoon replied. Our tests show that stars burning in this chaotic pattern actually repel the entity. The energy signatures are too unstable for it to establish a feeding connection. Dr. Park Min-ji, who had been promoted to head of xenobiology research after her work on the stellar dawn, added her findings to the presentation. We've analyzed the behavior patterns from 47 different star systems that the hunger has attacked. In every case, it avoided stars with high energy variance and magnetic field instability. Council Chairman Lee Jin-woo looked skeptical. You're asking us to deliberately destabilize our own sun. What if something goes wrong? Then we die, Yoon said simply. But if we do nothing, we die anyway. The hunger is spreading faster than anyone expected. It will reach human space within 6 months. Dr. Choi Ji-won, who had been working around the clock since returning from the dying star system, stood up to address the council. The entity isn't just consuming stars randomly. It's following a pattern, moving from the outer rim toward the galactic core. Every species that has tried to hide in cold space has only delayed the inevitable. What do you mean? Asked Admiral Kang. The hunger learns. After it finishes consuming the stars in active systems, it starts hunting down the refugee populations in their dark hiding places. The Altarians lost 3 entire colony ships last week. The entity found them even though they were powered down and drifting in empty space. The room fell silent. Everyone had heard the reports of missing ships and vanished colonies, but most had assumed they were accidents or equipment failures. So hiding doesn't work, Chairman Lee said slowly. And you think making our stars burn hotter will? We think it's our only chance, Choi replied. But we need to test it first. That was how humanity began the most dangerous experiment in their history. The first test site was Proxima Centauri, the closest star to Earth. If something went wrong, they would have advance warning before trying it on their home system. Captain Nam Suman commanded the research vessel Prometheus as it approached the red dwarf star. Her ship was equipped with the most advanced heat shields and radiation protection that human technology could provide, but even she wasn't sure it would be enough. Distance to stellar photosphere, 2 million kilometers and closing, reported her navigation officer, Lieutenant Bei Jinyuk. Any sign of our alien observers? Nam asked. Yes, Captain. The Altarian monitoring ship is maintaining position at 15 million kilometers. They think we're all insane. Nam couldn't blame them. From their perspective, humanity was committing elaborate suicide by flying directly toward a star instead of away from it. But the math was clear. The hunger avoided hot, chaotic stars. The only way to fight it was to make every human star too dangerous for it to approach. Beginning stellar amplifier deployment, announced Chief Engineer Kim Tae-hyun from the engine room. Injecting heavy element payload in 3, 2, 1 mark. The change wasn't immediate. For the first hour, Proxima Centauri looked exactly the same as it always had. Then the fusion reactions in the core began to shift. The star's output increased by 20%. Then 40%, then doubled. Captain, the star's magnetic field is becoming incredibly unstable, reported the science officer, Dr. Song Harim. We're seeing solar flares 10 times larger than anything in recorded history. And the hunger? No sign of it. The entity that was moving toward this system yesterday has changed course. It's actively avoiding us now. The success at Proxima Centauri opened the door for larger experiments. Within 2 months, humanity had modified 7 different stars in their territory. Each one burned brighter and more chaotically than nature had ever intended. The real breakthrough came when Dr. Lim Ji-hee discovered that the hunger wasn't just avoiding the modified stars. It was afraid of them. Her long-range sensors detected the entity actually, retreating from systems where humans had installed their stellar amplifiers. It's not just a feeding preference, she explained, to the research team gathered on the orbital platform above Earth's sun. The chaotic energy patterns we're creating actually cause it physical pain or damage. We're not just making ourselves inedible, we're turning our stars into weapons. Admiral Kang saw the military potential immediately. If we can weaponize stellar energy, we can go on the offensive instead of just defending ourselves. That led to the development of Project Helios, named after the ancient god of the sun. Instead of modifying just a few stars, humanity began the systematic conversion of every star in their space. Engineer Oh Min-woo led teams of specialists who traveled from system to system, installing stellar amplifiers and chaos generators on every burning sphere they could reach. The results were spectacular and terrifying. Human space became a region of violent, unpredictable stars that blazed with energies no natural stellar formation could produce. The night sky from Earth changed color as nearby stars shifted from yellow and red to brilliant white and blue. Other species watched, in horror and amazement, as humans not only survived in this stellar inferno but seemed to thrive in it. Captain Shin Dong-hae established the first permanent research station in the corona of a modified star, proving that human technology could operate in conditions that would instantly vaporize any other known life. Formed the alien refugees hiding in their cold sanctuaries received regular transmissions from human space. The messages showed impossible sights, cities built inside stellar prominences, mining operations in the photospheres of blue giants, entire human populations living and working in environments hotter than the surface of any planet. But the most important discovery came when Commander Park Min-hyuk's Deep Space Patrol encountered the hunger directly. His ship was investigating the remains of a consumed star system when the entity appeared, a massive shadow of dark energy that stretched across millions of kilometers. Captain's log, Park spoke into his recorder as his ship's instruments detected the cosmic predator. We have visual confirmation of the hunger. It appears to be a form of organized dark matter that interfaces directly with stellar plasma. The entity sensed the presence of Park's ship and moved toward it, probably expecting another easy meal. But the Prometheus was powered by a miniature version of the stellar amplifiers, creating the same chaotic energy signature as the modified stars. When the hunger tried to establish a feeding connection, the chaotic energy patterns disrupted its dark matter matrix. For the first time in cosmic history, the ancient predator experienced something it had never felt before: pain. The entity recoiled from Park's ship like it had been burned, fleeing back into deep space. But not before the ship's sensors recorded detailed readings of its energy signature and composition. We heard it, Park reported back to Earth. Whatever this thing is, our stellar chaos technology can actually damage it. The discovery changed everything. Humanity wasn't just hiding from the hunger anymore. They were hunting it. Dr. Kim Hyun-woo spent days analyzing the sensor data from Park's encounter. His conclusion was both exciting and terrifying. The entity is definitely intelligent, he told the assembled military leadership. It learns, it adapts, and it remembers. But it's also ancient beyond our understanding. It may have been feeding on stars since the early days of the universe. Can we kill it? Asked Admiral Kang. I don't know. But I think we can make it afraid to come near human space ever again. As the second phase of Project Helios began, humanity prepared for something no other species had ever attempted. A direct war against a cosmic predator that had been consuming stars for billions of years. The galaxy watched in amazement as humans transformed from a small, insignificant species into something unprecedented. The first civilization in cosmic history that chose to embrace burning light instead of seeking refuge in cold darkness. The real battle was just beginning. 6 months after the first successful stellar modification, Dr. Song Harim made a discovery that changed humanity's understanding of their enemy forever. Working from her research station orbiting inside the corona of Alpha Centauri, she detected something that should have been impossible. The hunger isn't just avoiding our modified stars, she explained to the emergency council meeting via quantum communication. It's actually being pushed away by them. The chaotic energy fields we're creating act like a repulsive force. Admiral Kang Seojun studied the data streams flowing across his command center screens. How is that possible? The entity exists as a form of organized dark energy, Song continued, her image flickering slightly due to the intense electromagnetic interference around her station. It needs stable quantum connections to interface with stellar plasma. Our chaos generators create so much quantum static that it can't establish those connections. Dr. Bae Jin-hyuk, who had been working on improved stellar amplifier designs, looked up from his calculations. If that's true, then we're not just defending ourselves. We're creating weapons. Exactly, Song replied. Every modified star becomes a fortress that the hunger cannot approach. But more than that, the effect seems to be cumulative. The more chaotic stars we create in a region, the larger the area of space that becomes hostile to the entity. This revelation led to the next phase of humanity's war against cosmic darkness. Engineer Yoon Hyejin proposed something so ambitious that even her own team thought she had lost her mind. Project Helios isn't enough, she announced to the gathered scientists and military leaders. We need to go bigger. We need to create stellar forges. Captain Lee Do-yun, who had been promoted to head of deep space operations, asked the question everyone was thinking. What exactly is a stellar forge? A star that burns so hot and chaotic that it becomes uninhabitable for any normal life, but perfect for humans using our new technology, Yoon explained. We don't just modify existing stars. We create new ones from scratch, designed specifically to be weapons against the hunger. The first stellar forge was built in the Kepler 442 system, where the hunger had consumed the original star 3 months earlier. Commander Oh Min-woo led the construction effort, using massive fusion ignition devices to restart nuclear reactions in the dead stellar core. But this wasn't a restoration. The humans pumped the dead star full of heavy elements and exotic matter, creating fusion reactions that had never existed in nature. When the new star finally ignited, it blazed with the light of a blue supergiant despite being only half the size of Earth's sun. Stellar Forge Number 1 is online, Min-woo reported as his engineering ships retreated to safe distance. Core temperature is 3 times hotter than any natural star this size. Magnetic field instability is off the charts. The effect on the hunger was immediate and dramatic. The entity, which had been slowly moving through that region of space-consuming dead systems, suddenly changed course and fled toward the galactic rim at maximum speed. It's not just avoiding the forge, reported Captain Nam Suman from her monitoring vessel. It's running away like something is chasing it. Dr. Choi Ji-won analyzed the sensor readings and made an incredible discovery. The stellar forge isn't just creating a defensive field, it's actively hunting the hunger. The chaotic energy patterns are seeking out and disrupting dark energy formations within a radius of 50 light-years. Humanity had created their first stellar weapon, and it was more effective than anyone had dared hope. The success of the first stellar forge led to an explosion of new projects across human space. Captain Shin Dong-hae established a permanent fleet base inside the photosphere of the forge, proving that humans could not only survive in these extreme environments, but use them as military strongholds. The alien species hiding in their cold refuges watched the developments in human space with a mixture of terror and amazement. The Altarians sent a diplomatic message that reached Earth after traveling through multiple relay stations in dark space. Humans of Earth. The message began. We do not understand what you are doing, but we can see the results. The hunger flees from your space as if it has encountered something more dangerous than itself. How do you survive in such burning light? Dr. Park Minji, now serving as humanity's chief xenobiologist and alien relations specialist, prepared the response. We do not just survive in the light. We are children of burning stars. Where others see death, we see possibility. The real breakthrough came when engineer Kim Tae-hyun developed the first stellar amplifier capable of modifying not just single stars, but entire star clusters. His team worked from a mobile construction platform that could operate inside the coronas of multiple stars simultaneously. If we can link 12 stellar forges together in a network, he explained to the assembled military commanders, we can create a region of space that's completely hostile to the hunger. Nothing based on dark energy will be able to exist there. Admiral Kang approved the project immediately. How long do you need? 6 months to build the linking technology. Another year to connect all the forges in the Centauri cluster. Do it. While Taehyun's team worked on the stellar network, other human forces began more aggressive operations. Commander Park Min-hyuk led the first deliberate hunt for the hunger, using a fleet of ships powered by miniature stellar forges. We're not waiting for it to come to us anymore, he told his crew as they entered hyperspace toward a system where the hunger had been detected. We're taking the fight to the enemy. The confrontation occurred in the ruins of the Vega system, where the hunger was in the process of consuming the last remaining stellar fragments. Min-hyuk's fleet arrived while the entity was feeding, catching it in a vulnerable state. All ships activate stellar chaos fields, Min-hyuk ordered. Maximum intensity, the effect was devastating. The hunger, which had been peacefully draining energy from the dead star fragments, suddenly found itself surrounded by the same chaotic energy patterns that it had learned to fear. But this time, there was nowhere to run. The entity tried to flee, but Min-hyuk's ships had it surrounded. Every time it moved toward empty space, another ship blocked its path with fields of organized stellar chaos. It's trapped, reported his science officer, Dr. Lim Ji-hye. The entity can't maintain coherence in this much quantum interference. For the first time in billions of years, the hunger experienced something it had never known: defeat. The ancient predator began to break apart, its dark energy matrix disrupted by the chaotic fields generated by human technology. But instead of destroying it completely, something unexpected happened. The disrupted dark energy began to convert into normal matter and energy, following patterns that Dr. Lim recognized from stellar formation models. Commander, she called out excitedly, the entity's dark energy is becoming fuel for stellar ignition. We're not just defeating it. We're turning it into a new star. The process took 3 hours. When it was complete, the Vega system had a new blue supergiant burning where the hunger had been feeding. The predator that had consumed countless stars across cosmic time had itself become fuel for stellar fire. Mission accomplished. Min-hyuk reported back to Earth. The hunger is no longer a threat to this system. News of the victory spread throughout human space and beyond. The alien refugees hiding in cold darkness received transmissions showing the impossible. Humans had not only fought the hunger directly, but had turned it into a star doctor. Song Harim, still working from her Corona research station, analyzed the data from the Vega confrontation. Her conclusions were both exciting and sobering. We can defeat individual instances of the hunger, she reported to the High Command. But our sensors are detecting similar dark energy signatures throughout the galaxy. This isn't one entity. It's an entire species of stellar predators. How many are we talking about? Asked Admiral Kang. Based on the energy patterns we're detecting, possibly hundreds, maybe thousands. They're spread throughout the galaxy, and they're all slowly moving toward regions with high stellar density. The revelation that the hunger was not a single entity, but an entire ecosystem of cosmic predators, should have been devastating news. Instead, humanity saw it as an opportunity. If there are thousands of them, said Captain Lee Do-hyun, then we need to build thousands of stellar forges, and we need to teach other species how to fight back, added Dr. Park Minji. Humanity can't defend the entire galaxy alone. That decision led to the most ambitious project in human history, Operation Stellar Dawn. The plan was simple in concept but staggering in scope. Humanity would travel throughout the galaxy, teaching other species how to build stellar forges and fight the hunger. But first, they needed to perfect their own weapons. Engineer Yoon Heejin had been working on something she called a stellar resurrection device technology that could not only ignite new stars but bring dead ones back to life as weapons against darkness. The hunger has consumed thousands of stars over the millennia, she explained to the research team. Every dead system is a potential fortress waiting to be reborn. The first test of stellar resurrection technology took place in the Wolf 359 system, where the hunger had left behind nothing but cold stellar remnants. Yoon's team used massive fusion catalysts and exotic matter injection to restart nuclear reactions in the dead star's core. But this wasn't simple restoratio. General Lee Young-ho stood in the command center of Helios Station, humanity's first permanent military base built inside the photosphere of a stellar forge. Through the reinforced viewing ports, he could see his soldiers training in conditions that would instantly vaporize any other known life form in the galaxy. The Stellar Marines are ready for deployment, he reported to the assembled high command via quantum link. 2,000 soldiers equipped with plasma armor and solar flare weaponry. They can operate in stellar environments up to and including blue supergiant cores. Admiral Kang Seojun studied the tactical displays showing human military positions throughout their transformed space. Every star system was now a fortress, and humanity had built their armies to fight in the hearts of stars themselves. What's the status of the deep penetration teams? Kang asked. Captain Oh Minwoo's engineering corps has successfully established forward bases in 17 stellar forges, Lee replied. They're ready to begin construction of the first stellar battleship. The concept of a stellar battleship had seemed like science fiction just 6 months ago. Now it was becoming reality. These weren't ships that orbited stars or used stellar energy for power. They were vessels designed to operate entirely within stellar cores, using the chaotic fusion reactions as both protection and weaponry. Dr. Lim Ji-hye, working from her research vessel deep inside the Proxima Centauri stellar forge, had made the discoveries that made such technology possible. The key is understanding that we're not fighting physics, she explained to the engineering teams. We're partnering with it. The stellar chaos isn't our enemy. It's our ally. Her breakthrough had come from studying how the hunger itself operated. The entity could interface with stable stellar plasma because it understood the quantum mechanics of fusion reactions. Humanity had learned to do the same thing, but instead of consuming the energy, they used it to create unprecedented levels of protection and firepower. The first stellar battleship, designated Phoenix 1, was launched from the construction yards orbiting inside Alpha Centauri's stellar forge. Commander Shin Dong-hae took command of the vessel as it dove deeper into the star's core than any human-built object had ever gone. Depth now at 0.7 stellar radii, reported his navigation officer, Lieutenant Bae Jin-hyuk. Core pressure is holding steady. Plasma armor is functioning within normal parameters. Amazing, Shin said, looking at the readings that showed his ship surviving in an environment where the pressure was millions of times greater than Earth's atmosphere, and the temperature exceeded 50 million degrees. We're literally sailing inside a star, but the Phoenix 1 wasn't just surviving in the stellar environment. It was thriving there. The ship's weapon systems drew power directly from the fusion reactions around them, creating focused beams of stellar energy that could be projected across interstellar distances. The first combat test came sooner than expected. Dr. Kim Hyunwoo's deep space monitoring network detected a massive concentration of hunger entities moving toward the Tau Ceti system, where a human colony was protected by only a single stellar forge. 15 separate dark energy signatures, Hyunwoo reported from his analysis station on Luna. They're traveling in formation, which suggests coordination and intelligence. How long until they reach Tau Ceti? Asked Admiral Kang. 6 days at their current speed. That's not enough time to build additional stellar forges, General Lee said. We'll have to meet them with Military Force Phoenix 1 is ready for combat deployment, Commander Shin reported. We can reach Tau Ceti in 4 days if we travel through stellar space. Travel through stellar space? Kang asked. The stellar forges are all connected by streams of chaotic energy, Dr. Lim explained. We can use those streams like highways, allowing ships to travel from star to star without entering normal space. It was a revolutionary concept. Instead of traveling through empty space where the hunger could intercept them, human ships could move from stellar forge to stellar forge, always protected by chaotic energy fields. The Phoenix One's journey to Tau Ceti became the first test of stellar highway travel. Commander Shin's ship dove into the Alpha Centauri Forge and emerged 4 days later from the Tau Ceti Stellar Forge. Having crossed 12 light-years through stellar space in the same time it would have taken to travel 1 light-year through normal hyperspace. Arrival confirmed, Shin reported as his ship took position inside the Tau Ceti stellar core. Phoenix One is ready for combat operations. The hunger entities arrived exactly on schedule, 15 massive shadows of dark energy that stretched across the outer system. They moved with purpose and coordination. Unlike the solitary predator that humans had first encountered, they're definitely intelligent, observed Dr. Park Minji from her monitoring station on the Tau Ceti colony. They're analyzing the stellar forge and trying to find a way to approach it safely. Let them analyze all they want, General Lee said from his command position aboard Phoenix One. They're about to learn why humans don't just hide from monsters. We hunt them. The battle began when the leading hunger entity attempted to probe the stellar forge with tendrils of dark energy. Phoenix One responded by emerging from the star's core and firing the first stellar cannon ever used in combat. The weapon drew power directly from the stellar forge's fusion reactions and focused it into a beam of pure chaos energy. When it struck the hunger entity, the result was spectacular. The dark energy creature didn't just retreat. It began to burn with stellar fire. Direct hit, reported Lieutenant Yoon Hyejin from the weapons station. The entity is converting to plasma. It's becoming part of the stellar forge. The other 14 hunger creatures responded by attacking in formation, trying to overwhelm Phoenix One with coordinated dark energy pulses. But Commander Shin had spent months training for exactly this scenario. All power to chaos field generators, he ordered. Take us deeper into the stellar core. Phoenix One dove toward the center of the Tau Ceti stellar forge, using the increasing pressure and temperature as protection. The hunger entities tried to follow but found that the deeper they went into the stellar chaos, the more difficult it became to maintain their dark energy coherence. They can't follow us here, observed Captain Nam Sumin, who was serving as tactical officer. The stellar environment is too chaotic for them to exist in. Then we'll bring the stellar environment to them, Shin replied. Prepare stellar flare charges. The Phoenix One began launching specially designed weapons that carried packets of stellar chaos out of the star's core and into space where the hunger entities were waiting. Each charge exploded into a miniature stellar event, creating temporary fields of chaotic energy that disrupted the creature's dark energy matrices. The battle lasted 3 hours and ended with all 15 hunger entities either destroyed or converted into stellar fuel. Phoenix One emerged from the stellar forge victorious, having proven that humanity could fight these cosmic predators on equal terms. News of the victory spread throughout the galaxy faster than any previous human achievement. The alien species hiding in their dark refuges received detailed accounts of the battle, including visual recordings of human ships operating inside stars and using stellar energy as weaponry. The Altarian Council sent an emergency diplomatic message to Earth. Humans of Sol System, it read, "We have monitored your battle against the darkness entities. We do not understand how you survive in stellar fire, but we see that you have achieved victory where all others have failed. Will you share your knowledge with those who seek to return to the light?" Dr. Choi Ji-won, now serving as humanity's chief ambassador to alien species, prepared the response carefully. "We will teach any species that wishes to fight instead of hide. But you must understand this is not an easy path. You must be willing to embrace danger instead of safety." The first alien students arrived at the Helios training facility 6 weeks later. A group of 12 Altarian volunteers, led by Commander Vexithala, the same officer who had first warned humanity about the hunger. "We do not know if our physiology can survive in stellar environments," Vexithala admitted to General Lee as they stood in the observation deck of Helios Station. "But we are willing to try." "Survival isn't just about physiology," Lee replied. "It's about mindset. You have to stop thinking of stars as dangerous and start thinking of them as allies. The training program that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Human instructors taught alien soldiers how to operate in stellar environments, how to use chaos energy as both protection and weapon, and most importantly, how to stop fearing the burning light. Not all species could adapt. The crystalline-based Zephyrians found that their silicon-based biology couldn't handle the extreme conditions, even with the best human protective technology. But they contributed in other ways, using their natural abilities to detect dark energy, to help human forces locate and track hunger entities. The insectoid Altarians surprised everyone by adapting quickly to stellar combat. Their natural ability to process multiple sensory inputs simultaneously made them excellent stellar navigation specialists. Most surprising were the Centaurian Collective, a hive-minded species that had been hiding in dark space for over a year. When they emerged from their refuges and saw what humanity had accomplished, they made an unprecedented decision. Admiral Lee Doyun commanded a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 50 stellar-class warships, each one designed to operate inside the cores of blue supergiant stars, followed his flagship Prometheus as they traveled through stellar space toward the galactic core. Their mission was simple in concept but impossible in scope: find and destroy the primary hunger entity. Fleet status report. Dohyun called out to his bridge. Crew as the Prometheus navigated through a stream of pure plasma connecting 2 stellar forges, all ships maintaining formation through Stellar Highway 7, reported Captain Kim Tae-hyun, his fleet coordinator. No contact with hunger scouts. The enemy seems to be avoiding our approach routes. They're learning to fear us, observed Dr. Park Minji from her science station. The primary entity is pulling its feeding tentacles back to protect itself. That was exactly what the deep space monitoring networks had been detecting for weeks. As human and allied forces grew stronger and more aggressive, the individual hunger entities had begun retreating toward the galactic core. Long-range sensors showed them gathering in massive numbers around the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way. Distance to target zone? Doyun asked. 12 hours through stellar space, replied Navigator Yoon Hyejin. But Admiral, we're going to have a problem when we get there. What kind of problem? The galactic core has no stars suitable for our technology. The area around the central black hole is mostly empty space with occasional gas clouds. We won't have any stellar forges to use as bases or weapons. Dr. Choi Ji-won, now serving as the fleet's chief science officer, had been working on that exact problem for months. Actually, we might be able to create our own stellar forge right where we need it. Explain. The supermassive black hole at the galactic center is surrounded by an accretion disk of superheated gas and plasma. If we can ignite fusion reactions in that disk using our stellar amplification technology, we might be able to create an artificial star right next to the black hole itself. Is that even possible? The energy densities are certainly high enough. The question is whether we can survive long enough to build the ignition systems while fighting off thousands of hunger entities. Admiral Kang Seojin's voice came through the quantum communication link from Earth. Admiral Dohyun, you have authorization for Operation Stellar Heart. Create whatever star you need to complete the mission. The approach to the galactic core took the fleet through some of the most dangerous stellar environments in the galaxy. They passed through regions where massive stars were being born and dying in cosmic violence, using the stellar highways that connected each chaotic system. Captain Oh Min-woo, commanding the engineering vessel Hephaestus, worked constantly to maintain the stellar highway connections as they traveled deeper into the galaxy. The energy patterns here are unlike anything we've seen before, he reported. The stellar density is so high that the chaos fields from different stars are starting to interfere with each other. Is that a problem? Dohyun asked. Actually, it might be helpful. The interference patterns are creating quantum static on a galactic scale. The hunger entities are going to have trouble maintaining coherence in this environment. The first sign of the enemy came when the fleet was still 3 light years from the galactic center. Dr. Kim Hyun-woo, monitoring dark energy signatures from his sensor station, detected massive movement patterns around the central black hole. Admiral, I'm reading at least 3,000 individual hunger entities in the target zone. They're arranged in defensive formations around the accretion disk. 3,000. Dohyun repeated. We're outnumbered 60 to 1. It gets worse, Kim continued. I'm also detecting something much larger. The primary entity itself appears to be using the black hole's ergosphere as some kind of energy collection system. Collection system? It's feeding on the rotational energy of the black hole itself. This thing has been growing stronger for billions of years by consuming the fundamental forces that power galactic rotation. Captain Nam Suman, commanding the tactical vessel Ares, had been studying the enemy formations through long-range sensors. The individual entities are protecting something in the center of their formation, something that's interfacing directly with the black hole's event horizon. The heart of the beast, Dr. Lim Jihi said from her xenobiology station. After months of analysis, I think I understand what we're dealing with. The hunger isn't just one creature. It's a cosmic organism that exists partially in our universe and partially in the quantum foam around black hole singularities. What does that mean for our mission? It means we can't just destroy the feeding tentacles anymore. We have to sever the connection between the primary entity and the black hole itself. The final approach began as the human fleet emerged from the last stellar highway, 3 light-years from the galactic center. Ahead of them stretched empty space filled with nothing but gas clouds and the growing gravitational influence of the supermassive black hole. Beginning Operation Stellar Heart, Admiral Do-hyun announced to his fleet. All engineering vessels begin fusion ignition procedures in the accretion disk. All combat vessels, prepare for defensive operations. The plan was audacious even by human standards. While half the fleet fought off thousands of hunger entities, the other half would attempt to ignite nuclear fusion in the superheated gas surrounding the galactic center's black hole, creating an artificial star in one of the most extreme environments in the universe. Commander Shin Dong-hae led the first wave of combat vessels as they encountered the outer defensive line of hunger entities. These creatures were larger and more organized than any humans had previously fought, their dark energy matrices spanning hundreds of kilometers. Contact with enemy forces, Shin reported as his stellar battleship Phoenix 1 opened fire with chaos energy weapons. These aren't the same type of entities we've been fighting. They're using the black hole's gravity well to amplify their dark energy fields. The battle that followed was unlike anything in the history of galactic warfare. Human ships designed to operate in stellar cores found themselves fighting in the twisted space-time around a supermassive black hole, while cosmic predators that had existed since the early universe defended their feeding ground with desperate fury. Gravitational lensing is affecting our weapons targeting, reported Lieutenant Bae Jin-hyuk from the Phoenix 1's tactical station. The black hole's gravity is bending our energy beams in unpredictable directions, then we adapt, Shin replied. Use the gravitational effects as weapons. Calculate trajectories that will swing our shots around the black hole and hit the enemy from unexpected angles. While the combat vessels fought the defensive formations, Engineer Oh Min-woo's construction teams worked frantically to build fusion ignition systems in the accretion disk. The environment was incredibly hostile, with temperatures in the millions of degrees and gravitational forces that could tear apart planets. Fusion catalyst deployment successful, Min-woo reported as his heavily shielded engineering ships released specialized devices into the swirling disk of superheated gas. Beginning nuclear ignition sequence. The artificial star that blazed to life around the galactic center's black hole was unlike anything that had ever existed in nature. Fed by the constant inflow of matter from the accretion disk and stabilized by the black hole's gravity, it burned with the chaotic energy patterns that the hunger had learned to fear. Stellar ignition confirmed, Dr. Song Harim reported from her monitoring station aboard the Prometheus. The artificial star is achieving the same chaos energy signature as our stellar forges. The effect on the hunger entities was immediate and devastating. The creatures that had been defending the area found themselves surrounded by the same stellar chaos that had proven so effective against their kind in previous battles. But the primary entity itself, the cosmic organism that Dr. Lim had identified as the true enemy, responded with something that shocked even the human observers. "Admiral," Kim Hyun-woo called out in amazement, "the primary entity is fighting back. It's trying to destabilize our artificial star by manipulating the black hole's rotation." Through the viewports of the Prometheus, Admiral Do-hyun could see something that defied comprehension. The massive dark energy organism was using tendrils of organized spacetime to interfere with the black hole's ergosphere, trying to disrupt the fusion reactions in the artificial star. "It's more intelligent than we thought," Dr. Park Min-ji observed. It understands stellar physics well enough to sabotage our fusion processes. Then we'll have to protect our star, Do-hyun decided. All ships, new mission parameters. We're going to establish a permanent human presence in the galactic center. Captain Lee Ye-jin, commanding the deep space vessel Icarus, volunteered for the most dangerous mission yet attempted by human forces. I'll take my crew into the ergosphere itself. If this thing wants to manipulate the black hole, we'll be there to stop it. The ergosphere, the region of twisted spacetime just outside a rotating black hole's event horizon, had never been explored by any known species. The gravitational forces were so extreme that matter and energy behaved according to rules that barely resembled normal physics. Icarus entering ergosphere, Ye-jin reported as her specially designed vessel dove toward the point of no return around the supermass. 1 year after the battle at the Galactic Center, Colonel Cha Yun-ji stood in the observation deck of the newly constructed Nexus Station, humanity's first permanent outpost in intergalactic space. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see something that would have been impossible just 2 years ago. Artificial. Stars burning in the void between galaxies. Status. Report on the barrier network, she requested from her. Communications officer, all 7. 100 stellar forges are online and stable, Lieutenant Ryu Jae-hyun replied. The chaos energy fields are maintaining a protective sphere around the entire Milky Way galaxy, with a radius of 500,000 light-years. The barrier network was humanity's greatest achievement, a ring of artificial stars that surrounded their home galaxy, like a fortress wall of burning light. Each stellar forge burned with the chaotic energy patterns that the Hunger had learned to fear, creating an impenetrable barrier against any cosmic predator that might threaten star-dependent life. But the network was more than just a defensive system. Dr. Kim Hyun-woo, now serving as the chief researcher for the Intergalactic Physics Project, had discovered that the artificial stars were having unexpected effects on the structure of space itself. The chaos energy fields aren't just repelling dark energy entities, he explained to the assembled scientists and military leaders during the monthly progress briefing. They're actively converting dark matter into normal matter, creating new stellar fuel in the process. Admiral Won Soo-young, who had taken command of humanity's intergalactic operations, studied the data with interest. Are you saying our stellar forges are making the universe brighter? More than that, they're making it fundamentally more hospitable to life. The regions of space protected by our chaos fields are becoming easier to travel through, more stable and more suitable for stellar formation. Dr. Park Min-ji, still serving as humanity's chief xenobiologist despite her promotion to head of interspecies relations, had been working with alien scientists from dozens of species to understand the full implications of humanity's transformation of galactic space. The Altarians have detected similar effects in their home regions, she reported. Species that learned our stellar forge technology are seeing the same changes in their local space. The universe itself is becoming more friendly to star-dependent civilizations. The breakthrough that led to the final phase of humanity's cosmic project came from an unexpected source. Captain Lee Ye-jin, who had been presumed lost when her ship Icarus crossed the event horizon of the galactic center's black hole, had actually survived in a form that challenged everything science knew about physics. Her consciousness, preserved in the quantum foam around the black hole's singularity, had been transmitting data through quantum entanglement for months. Dr. Song Harim, working from her research station inside the Alpha Centauri stellar forge, finally managed to decode the messages. Ye-jin found something inside the black hole, Song announced to the emergency council session. The Hunger entities weren't just from our universe. They were refugees from the heat death of the previous universe. Previous universe? Admiral Won asked. According to Ye-jin's data, the cosmic cycle includes the birth and death of entire universes. When a universe reaches heat death, becoming cold and dark, entities like the Hunger are the only things that can survive. They feed on the last remaining stellar energy until they can find a way into the next universe, and they found a way into ours, through black hole singularities. Every supermassive black hole is connected to the previous universe through quantum tunnels. The Hunger entities have been using them as entry points for billions of years. The revelation explained why the Hunger had been so drawn to galactic centers, and why destroying the connection at the Milky Way's central black hole had been so effective. But it also revealed a larger threat. If the cosmic cycle continued as it always had, The current universe would eventually reach heat death, and the hunger would survive to invade the next one. Unless we change the rules, said engineer Yoon Hyejin, who had been listening to the briefings from her position aboard the stellar construction vessel Prometheus. We've already proven we can make the universe more hostile to entropy. What if we could prevent heat death entirely? It was an audacious concept that went beyond anything humanity had previously attempted. Instead of just protecting their own galaxy, they would try to modify the fundamental laws of physics to ensure that the universe would never grow cold and dark. The project that resulted from this decision was called Operation Eternal Flame, and it required the cooperation of every star-dependent species in the known universe. Humanity's stellar forge technology was shared freely with any civilization, willing to help build a network of artificial stars that would span the entire observable cosmos. Captain Minwoo led the first intergalactic construction mission, taking a fleet of engineering vessels to the Andromeda Galaxy to begin building stellar forges in previously empty regions of space. The journey took 3 years using the newly developed intergalactic stellar highways, streams of chaos energy that connected artificial stars across cosmic distances. First Andromeda stellar forge online, Minwoo reported as his team successfully ignited nuclear fusion in a carefully constructed mass of hydrogen and exotic matter. The artificial star is heaving the same chaos energy signature as our Milky Way forges. The success in Andromeda was followed by similar projects in the Triangulum Galaxy, the Large Magellanic Cloud, and dozens of smaller galaxies throughout the local group. Each new stellar forge added to the growing network of chaos energy that was slowly transforming the nature of intergalactic space. Dr. Choi Ji-won, now in his 80s but still sharp as ever, made the final theoretical breakthrough that allowed Operation Eternal Flame to reach its ultimate goal. Working from his laboratory on Luna Station, he discovered how to use chaos energy to interfere with the expansion of space itself. The universe is expanding and cooling because of dark energy, he explained to the assembled scientists from hundreds of different worlds. But chaos energy creates areas where space contracts instead of expands. If we can create enough chaos energy fields throughout the universe, we can halt cosmic expansion and prevent heat death. How many stellar forges would we need? Asked Admiral Wan. Based on my calculations, approximately 1 artificial star for every cubic light-year of space in the observable universe. The number was staggering. 10 to the power of 31 stellar forges, more than the number of natural stars that had ever existed, but the combined technological might of thousands of civilizations, all united by their desire to live in the light instead of hiding in darkness. The construction effort that followed lasted for 50 years and involved every star-dependent species in the known universe. Generation ships carried stellar forge construction equipment to the farthest reaches of observable space, establishing artificial stars in regions where no natural star had ever burned. Commander Park Min-hyuk, now an elderly man serving as the coordinator for the Outer Rim construction project, oversaw the installation of the final stellar forge in a region of space so distant that its light would take 45 billion years to reach Earth. Final forge activated, he transmitted through the quantum communication network that connected every artificial star in the universe. Operation Eternal Flame is complete. The effect was immediate and universe-wide. Space itself began to change as the chaos energy fields from trillions of artificial stars created a new kind of cosmic environment. Instead of expanding and cooling, the universe began to stabilize at a temperature and density that would remain constant for eternity. Dr. Lim Ji-hye, now serving as the Director of Universal Physics Research, analyzed the data streaming in from monitoring stations throughout the cosmos. Heat death is no longer possible, she announced to the celebration gathering on Earth. The universe will continue to burn with stellar fire for all eternity. But the most remarkable change was what happened to life itself. The chaos energy fields that now permeated all of space began to influence the evolution of stellar-dependent species, making them more adaptable to extreme environments and more capable of survival in the harsh conditions around artificial stars. Captain Nam Soo-min, exploring the farthest regions of the transformed universe in her advanced exploration vessel, encountered new forms of life that had evolved specifically to thrive in chaos energy fields. These creatures, born in the coronas of artificial stars and sustained by stellar fire, represented the next stage of cosmic evolution. Life is adapting to our new universe, she reported from her position near the edge of observable space. We're seeing organisms that exist as pure energy patterns in stellar plasma, creatures that feed directly on chaos fields, and even what appear to be sentient stellar formations. The universe that humanity and their allies had created was no longer bound by the old rules of physics. It was a cosmos where entropy worked in reverse, where darkness was constantly being converted to light, and where the children of fire had ensured that no corner of existence would ever again be cold or empty. In the final transmission of Operation Eternal Flame, Captain Lee Yejin's consciousness, still preserved in the quantum foam of the galactic center's black hole, sent a message that reached every artificial stay.